You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Monday, 10th day of June, 2019. Thanks so much for joining us, whoever you are, wherever you are. We're just glad to have you right here, right now. That's what matters, right? Got a chart of the S&P 500 Emini Futures. It's a daily chart. If you can't see the chart and you want to see the chart, go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right-hand side of the page, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered in about 30 seconds, and that will, going forward, give you one-click access to the show each and every day. There will be days you find yourself away from the office, away from the desktop. Not to worry. Simply point an internet-connected device towards youtube.com/CFRN/live. And during the show, that's where you'll find a live, real-time simulcast of the show as it happens, brought to you by the good folks at YouTube. Thanks, YouTube. Okay, We had a gap open last night, a gap higher open. I'll get into that in more detail as the show progresses. On this daily chart, you'll see that I've highlighted some potential resistance, and that is where we found some resistance right here, crux of the apostrophe. Back on May 13th, we had a bearish cross on the daily chart. That price becomes very important. Why? Well, after this climb, when's the last time we had a bearish cross? Still checking. December 11th of last year. Okay. So January, February, March, April. Hey, do we get pullbacks along the way here? Now, after the bullish cross, which we got January 11th, we had a leg and a retracement to the VBC, and a leg and a retracement to the VBC, and a leg and a retracement, and the bearish cross. After the bearish cross, we had a leg and a retracement. We had a leg and a retracement. We've broken through the VBC to the upside. We've approached, we're at this area right here. And that's what it is. It's an area. Okay, I can't stress that enough. If anybody has any questions about that, please let me know. It is a very important dynamic. Okay? Now, let me talk to you for just a second about who we are, what we do, why we do it, how we do it, all that stuff. Maybe you're tuning into the show for the very first time. So what is this? Emini Futures, what are they doing? Are they selling some kind of indicators? I mean, what's up? Well, here's the deal. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that if you're in this audience, right here, right now, you've probably spent thousands on indicators, maybe tens of thousands on indicators, chat rooms, gurus, and sadly, you still can't trade. I mean, that's wrong on so many levels. Without pointing a finger of blame at anyone, I mean, I don't know if you actually did what the indicators and chat rooms and gurus told you to do, or if they gave you bad information. I don't know. But I do know I talk to a lot of traders each and every day, and I have since 2005 when CFRN launched, and I hear the same stories over and over and over. Now, how is it possible that 90% of traders who have spent, like you, thousands, maybe tens of thousands on indicators, chat rooms, and gurus, how is it possible that they still can't trade their own account? It's kind of simple. Because no one taught you. Now, in this audience today, I'm going to conservatively guess that 9 out of 10 people in this very audience, right here, right now, can't fly a plane, can't do brain surgery, can't design a high-rise, or even fix your own plumbing. Why? Pretty simple. Because no one taught you. Taught me? What about the silver bullets and the holy grails? Well, honestly, it's a load of crap, okay? Let me just be honest. I know this is Christian radio, family radio. I don't use that 4-letter word often, but there it is. I said it. It's a strong word, but I have a strong emotion when it comes to this kind of thing. If you haven't figured it out yet, it will become painfully obvious when your money is gone, and I promise you it will be gone unless you learn how to trade first. Is there a solution? Yes. Learn how to trade. Now, learning how to trade has many facets. It can be convoluted, it can be complicated, or it can be simple. And at CFRN, that's exactly what we try to do. Nothing more, nothing less, is to provide you with a basic understanding of how markets work. Once you understand how markets work, we then provide you with a simple method of following the market. As you can see, after this bearish cross on our daily chart, now if it's not obvious to you, please type something into the chat box so I can clarify it. But when I say we try to make it simple to just do what the market's doing, to follow the market, okay? Bearish cross, last bearish cross before the most recent one I just showed you, December 12th, 11th, that led to the worst December since 1932. This thing dropped from 2704 to 2322. Now, that deserves a calculator, doesn't it? Oh, I guess I don't have one. Hey, Michael, you there? Math man?
Yeah, I'm here. Let me do it for you. 2704 to 23.
Minus 2704 minus
23.
2319 or 2320.
20. That is 384 points.
384 points. Now, if you were to multiply that times $50 per point, I don't know how much money that would be, but you're probably going to tell us.
It would be, let's see, $19,200.
Per contract traded.
Yes.
Now, let me say this. It's very difficult to get out at a swing low or a swing high because we don't know that it's a swing low or swing high. No one does, not man or machine, until after the fact. So people who tell you are promised to teach you how to buy the low and sell the high, you need to be very careful. Keep your hand on your wallet, all right? Now, this is not easy, but it is obvious. And when you understand how markets work, the obvious can become simple. So after that bearish cross, we dropped how many points?
384, I think.
384. All right. Now, we had a bullish cross back on January the 11th. And price was around, we'll call it 25.60. And the most recent swing high put in on May 11th. I'm sorry, May 1st. That swing high, the all-time historic high in the S&P 500 Emini Futures, 2961.25. We'll go with 2961. 2961 minus 2560.
401.
Okay. Now, again, if anyone in the audience today, if you don't see how this is simple and obvious, what I just showed you, okay? Yes, this is a historic chart. Anyone can look like a genius with a historic chart. I'm not trying to look like a genius. I'm just trying to point out what's obvious, okay? Now, I'm going to ask you a question, all of you, everyone in the audience. If you're not a CFRN partner, if you're not a passport holder, is your current trading system so complicated and convoluted that you are not able to see this happen as it happened? See, it doesn't require a historic chart to see the simple and obvious because it's simple and obvious, right? Again, is your system, whatever it might be, so complicated and convoluted that you just never really understand what you're supposed to do or when you're supposed to do it? All right, let's move forward to May 13th, where we got the first bearish cross since December 11th. Okay, leg and a retracement, leg and a retracement. This is what we call a deeper retracement. Okay, this was a retracement to the BBC, retracement to the BBC. This time the BBC did not hold. We were able to see it not hold. We were not lured into anything on the long side because our methodology is so simple. It just doesn't go to those dark places of speculation, or as some might call it, gambling. This is a business based on probabilities. Once you understand that it is a business based on probabilities and that you can never know what is going to happen next, you might be able to find your place in this business, in this industry, and you potentially could find good success as a trader. Our Emini method is simple, affordable, and available. It's not magic. We have no gimmicks. We have no parlor tricks. You will get stopped out. And anyone that tells you they have some method whereby you won't get stopped out, keep your hand on your wallet. Okay? So important that you understand that. So many people with years under their belt, staring at charts, buying indicators and oscillators and visiting chat rooms and hiring gurus, they're still looking for that way to put on a trade that removes all risk and not get stopped out. You see, that's like looking for a black cat in the dark that doesn't exist. Is our method so simple and obvious that you'll always have profitable trades? Of course not. That's not possible. And it's so important that you understand that. Now, some really smart people like me and Mike, we tried for years to figure out that way that we wouldn't have to get stopped out. We were beat down, tore up from the floor up. We finally looked at each other across the miles and said, this dog ain't hunting. We knew there had to be a different approach. The opportunity was there. You know, the wealth of the world was right on the other side of our monitor. We just couldn't seem to get our hands around it. We had to back way up and take a long look at what we were doing. Now, I don't know if you're like we were, but we had every indicator, oscillator, thingamajig that man ever created. We even learned to create our own. We were that desperate to uncover the secret, to unlock the magic. Well, there is no secret and there is no magic. If there was a secret, it would be accepting the fact that it is a business based on probabilities, that you will never be able to know what's gonna happen next. And that right there becomes your single greatest asset as a trader. And all we do here at CFRN is try to help you understand that fact. And then we have some tools and some ideas that no matter what market or time frame makes certain things simple and obvious. Not easy, because trading's not easy. It never will be easy. But if you understand what I've put on this chart right here for you to see, and you're nodding your head and you're going, well, maybe it can be simple. See, complicated, that's not simple. Expensive, well, that's not simple, is it? I don't think so. So what are you going to do? Remember, it was Futures Magazine who first published the article many years ago that 9 out of 10 new traders failed. I've seen no one dispute that. Not a trader, not a broker, not a teacher, not a mentor, not a coach, not nobody, because it's a fact. Now, in the Futures Magazine article, they did not give a reason. They just stated a fact. I began to do my own research. How is it even possible that 9 out of 10 people could fail at anything, right? Go to medical school, go to law school, go to the Rocket Science Academy. 9 out of 10 people there don't fail. Something There had to be something going on, something so obvious that nobody could see it, some common thread that connected everyone. And I found it. I found it. There it is. No teacher. What? Oh, come on. Now, we've all hired people and been paid to be in chat rooms and bought indicators and got the PDFs and all of that, okay? But that's not the same as someone teaching you, explaining step by step how the market works and what, based upon observation, should be the next high probability thing that the market does. See, if you stop there and you just focus on trying to understand what the next high probability thing is, you might very well enjoy good success. But if you insist upon trying to find out, to know the unknowable, to know what will happen next, you're circling the drain. And eventually, the money will be gone. And when the money's gone, it's just gone. We teach the rhythm of the market. It's fluid across all markets and all time frames. We have traders who use it to trade Emini Futures, equities, crude, gold, bonds, grains, forex, crypto. Again, fluid across every market and every time frame. Something else we do unique is not only do we have group training every day for 2 hours, Monday through Friday, we offer one-on-one mentoring. Now, I know that a lot of places promise it, but we actually do it. As a CFRN partner or passport holder, you have something absolutely unique in the trading industry. You have unlimited lifetime access to myself, to Michael, to people that can help you see the simple and the obvious. These one-on-one mentoring sessions are 45 minutes each, and they're personalized. In other words, whatever you're struggling with right here, right now, that's what we focus on during your session. 99% of traders out there, when things go wrong, they got nowhere to turn. But at CFRN, when you need help, it's there. You just have to log in and book it. One other thing we offer, and I won't go through the entire list, but it's important, are weekly trading zones. Now, if trading had a holy grail, it doesn't, but if it did, Indiana Jones would be all over the WTZ. We've published this report exclusively for our traders every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern since December 14th, 2009. The beauty of the WTZ is only in a world where there is infinite possibilities. When price approaches a weekly trading zone, only 3 things can happen. Now, once we show you how to properly utilize the WTZ, you'll gain a new sense of confidence, which is the required first step on your path to consistency. So, what's something like that worth? Let me ask you a question. How long have you been suffering? What is your pain threshold? Battered trader syndrome is a real thing. My wife and I used to run a home for battered women and abused children. And some of you know the backstory on all that, and my children. Well, I won't even go into that today, but if you have questions, please feel free to contact me. Battered trader syndrome is a very real thing. Being a part of CFRN means that you will no longer be at the mercy of an unforgiving market, ridiculous strategies that just don't work, or vicious vendors with no conscience. What we teach you has the potential to set you free. That's just what truth does. Time and treasure. Both of those are a ticking clock. I want you to ask yourself this right now. How much of those have you already spent? More importantly, how much do you have left? Imagine, if you can, a world where you wake up refreshed and filled with quiet anticipation versus the current knot in the pit of your soul. You may well ask, is that even possible for a trader? Well, if it is, what's it worth? As it says on the screen, our goal is to provide everything a trader needs at one low price. No ongoing expense, not having to get one thing over here and another thing over there. There's no continuity doing it that way. In the world of trading, you know this as well as I do. There's a never-ending onslaught of shiny new things vying for your attention. They literally leap out of your inbox every morning when you open your email. We know what traders need, and we've done our best to assemble everything a trader needs under one roof. Education, tools, and support. I want to encourage you, before you finance another pipe dream or commit yourself to a new stream of monthly financial obligations, take a moment and reflect on everything I've said today. This may well be the most important trading decision you'll ever make. And as we go to the numbers, I pray you find the peace and prosperity you so richly deserve. All right, here's the cash markets. We're going to start here in the US of A, and we're going to start with the Dow. Let me refresh and bring in some fresh data. Here we go. Currently, the Dow is up 141 points, 0.5%. NASDAQ up 118, that's 1.5%. S&P 500 up 22, 0.75%. And the Russell 2000 up 18, 1.25%. In the commodity basket, crude oil is down 14 cents, trading 53.85 last. Gold down $14.90, trading 13.3120 last. That's a little over 1%. However, nothing gives me greater pleasure than to be able to say that gold is down almost $15 on the session, and we still traded 13.3120 last. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 250 points, 1.25%. Shanghai gained 24, almost 1%. And the Hang Seng tacked on 613 points. That's a gain of 2.25%. In the European markets, at the close, the FTSE was up 43 points, 0.5%. The DAX was unchanged, and the CAC gained 18. So there you have it. A green day in Asia, a green day in the UK, and here at home, it's a big green Radio Monday as we head into a recap of everything that happened in the live training room today. Michael, take it away.
Okay. Okay, let me bring it over here. And sadly, there wasn't a lot that happened this morning.
You know what? And that coming on the tail end of what I just said is a beautiful thing, because that, folks, is the truth about trading. Now here's a man who's shown up to the markets every day since I've known him, and prior to that, our relationship goes back to 2005, 2006. Now, a guy with that much experience, that much screen time, a man that can roll his own indicators, how is it possible he didn't reach his goal this morning? You see, that's the truth about trading that everyone wants to hide from you. But we don't. We show up here every day. The good, the bad, the ugly, it doesn't matter as long as it's the truth. I'm sorry, you were going to say something?
No. I was just agreeing with you. I didn't make my goal today.
Well, you see, and there's no shame in that. See,
no, there's not.
There's no shame in that. It's because we have a plan, we have a strategy, we have a method, we have an understanding, we have a narrative, and that's what we follow day in and day out. Yeah, you're not going to be profitable on every trade. You're not going to be profitable every day. It's the larger sample size. That's what matters. That's what can define you as a trader. So, Michael, let me hit mute, and it's all yours.
Okay, I got it. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Monday. And boy, is it a Monday. It's the 10th day of June, 2019. If you have not taken a free trial, go to the homepage here at CFRN.net. And over here in the right-hand column, it says 5-day free trial, apply.cfrn.net. Click on that. When you click that, you'll be brought to this page, where all we ask for on this page is your name, your email, and your phone number. And you can tell us the biggest trading challenge. And we'll try to focus on it for you when you're in the trading room. Okay, the spreadsheet. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today we were break even. This is only the second time in like the last 6 years that we're break even. But we took 7 trades to get there. Did not get the goal for the day. So far in the month we're at 990. That's over 6 days, averaging 165 per day. And on the year we're at 12,753. That's over 101 days, averaging 126 per day. 126 per day. Okay. Now, minimize that. And we'll look at gold. We didn't do a thing with gold. Look at how choppy it was. It was horrible. Horrible. And thankfully, our indicators just did not give any trade setups in there. Thankfully. Even during the break. During the break, there was one trade setup right here. A short trade that would have worked out just fine. Could have gotten the goal for the day on that one, I think. 31.8, and it dropped down to 30.7. Yep. Could have gotten your goal for the day on that one. All by itself. But that was during the break. This was in the morning session. Now look down here. You see how the cycle is just not giving up any trades here? And I was just looking at it. By the time we got to this point right in here, I was saying, okay, we really need to establish a trend or we're just not going to trade gold. And well, we didn't do anything with gold this morning. Okay. The euro was kind of whippy this morning. It had this big leg down, no trade setups. This big leg up, no trade setups. Then it pulled back a little bit and gave a trade setup. And we got in it and stopped out to the tick. And then it went up. And then we had a break even right there. Okay, so at this point in the day, we're minus $50. Crude oil. Now, crude is always my favorite market. It's my favorite. And it's not because it's pretty or anything like that. It's just because it provides more opportunity. Okay, but we started out here with a break even on crude. Then we had a +3 right there. A break even, a +1 right there. Then we missed a couple of trades here. Now that would have been a break even had we taken it. That one would have given us some profit. We had one more +1 right here to put us at +5 on the crude. So that put us at break even on the day. Then, let's see. During the break, let's see. There was a shorting opportunity in here during the break right there. Nothing there, Nothing there, nothing there, nothing there. Come way over here, and there was a long opportunity right there. That would have been a break even for me. Yeah, and that was pretty much it. Not much else at all. So it was that kind of day today on the crude. On the ES, we didn't do a thing with the ES. Again, it was, it got up to the weekly trading zone here, and it was just choppy inside the zone. There was one shorting opportunity right here that would have been a break even had we taken it. But I missed it, and then it got back up in the zone and was just choppy and choppy. Pulled out of the zone a little bit. Still no trade setups. At this point right here, I think it was going into the high of the day. That's why we didn't highlight this one, because it was going into the high of the day. And then it put in, a new high right there. We figured 2,900 was going to be a sticking point, and you see it's come right back down to 2,900. During the break, there was a shorting opportunity right here, and that was it. That was it on the ES today. So back here today, the 10th day of June 2019, we took 7 trades and ended up break even. Sometimes that happens. On the month now, over 6 days, we're up $990. It's averaging $165 per day. And on the year, we're at $12,753. That's over 101 days, averaging $126 per day. Now that is one contract, 2 hours per day. One contract, 2 hours per day. Okay. If you have not taken the free trial with us, go to the homepage at CFRN.net. Over here in the right-hand column, it says 5-day free trial, apply.cfrn.net. Click on that, and you'll be brought to this page where all we ask for is your email, your name, and your phone number. And hit the send button. Once you do that, you'll be sent all the information you need to get into the live training room. Okay, and with that, we can wrap. We can send. Yeah, we can't wrap it up for the morning session. We can send it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona. Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready. Dwayne's not ready yet, but he will be pretty soon. I'm convinced. All right, the cycle's going up too steep over here on the ES to short it now. But right here, the reason this was a short was because there was a close below that trend line. Right there. Okay, and we have nothing here on crude, and nothing here on the euro, and nothing here on gold. Gold is just a mess. The only spot there was on gold was right here. Okay. That's the only spot there was. Uh-oh. My charts just froze up. Okay, they're back. Yeah. And so that's it. All right. Let me just check something here. Okay, we've got nothing going on here. Nothing going on there. Nothing there. And nothing there. Okay. We will just have to wait for Dwayne to come back. He says he's on his way. Okay. So he's got his Telegram going. Yeah, that right there was the last shorting opportunity. Now, if you were doing the Tuesday trades, there would have been a shorting opportunity right here. It would have been a 137 short right there. Yeah. And looking across the markets, there's not a lot happening right now. And it's a German holiday, a French holiday, and a Swiss holiday today. I suspect maybe that's got something to do with why the markets are, well, so bland today. I'll call it bland. Yeah, you can. You should be. And today I was break even today. Break even. That's it.
Well, that
Hey,
wasn't
John's
as
out.
bad or as ugly as it could have been.
No, it could have been much worse. Could
Absolutely.
have been much worse.
Yeah, it certainly
That was
could.
just break even.
All right.
But,
let me grab this.
John's out there. You want me to open his mic
Oh, he's
up?
already there? Okie doke. Yeah, sure. Thank you very much.
There you go. Okay.
Hi,
Hey,
just
John,
one
welcome
second.
to the show.
Just 1 second. Just 1
Yeah,
second.
go ahead. Take your time. All right.
Okay.
Let me bring my charts back up.
Okay.
All right.
Hi,
How's your
thanks.
weekend?
Well, the Grand Prix in Canada was pretty riveting yesterday. Hamilton won by default. He came in second, but the leader, Vettel, kind of did a weird maneuver and got a penalty for it, and everybody was up in arms because they say he stole the race, but it wasn't his decision. He's had a few decisions go against him in the past, so we're glad that he won. But he could have, he said he would have rather been the first car rather than to win by a penalty. So, but he's. I mean, this is an amazing season because the Mercedes are so far out in front. They're kind of hard to catch as a constructors' championship, and he individually, I don't think anybody's ever, possibly in history, ever had 162 points after half a dozen races into the season. It's pretty amazing, or a little bit more than that. But as long as he doesn't mess up for the rest of the season, I'd say by the time he gets to the US, he'll probably be world champion for the sixth time. So we wish him well. Hope he can pull it off. He's only got he's still pretty young, and he's still he's only, I think he's done about 220 races versus Schumacher, who's done more than upwards of 300 to get 7 championships. So he's got 2 or 3 years. If he can pull off another year, he's going to equal Schumacher, and if he can keep at it for another 5 years, he's got a pretty good shot of being the all-time greatest ever. And given the way he's been, I mean, listen, he's had some pretty tough races, including from his running mate, who's won a couple of times, rather surprisingly. So but in spite of that, he's probably having the best year ever. And the rest of there's some new up and comers that are doing very well also. So it's a very competitive situation these days.
John, I heard an article, I read an article, or heard it on the news, that somebody's buying a racetrack for like $1 billion.
Yeah.
What is that?
NASCAR is buying. I think they're buying the Daytona and Talladega, or one or the other, or maybe both. And I guess they're NASCAR is here to stay, so that's why they're doing it.
And I remember, NASCAR. I remember my dad when I was a kid. We didn't do a lot of father and son things, but one thing we did do is sometimes on a Saturday night, my mom would make him take me to the track with him, to the racetrack. And this was back when it was a dirt oval, and there's 57 Chevys out there moving around. But that was the beginning of NASCAR, right?
Yeah. Well, one of the interesting things about owning a track like Daytona or Talladega is, even though it's, you
Well,
know,
they
you see
bought
the
13
races.
tracks. Look at that.
Well, there you go. Right. Yeah. So, you know, one of the reasons is there's so many tracks, you know, the use of the track being rented out for different events is very profitable.
Oh, what kind of events do they have on a racetrack? Like concerts and that kind of thing?
Well, yeah. And, you know, sometimes they use, you know, performance cars like Porsches and sort of Le Mans 24-hour type cars. There's all kinds of different categories of car races that are probably using these tracks, and it's probably only going to increase. And then secondly, there's various schools and things where you, or, you know, companies where you can actually go and drive on these tracks as a
Oh, right. Yeah, that was a big thing a while back. That's what Dale Jarrett had a thing like that, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, and there's a guy in, you know, the biggest guy is Petty in Las Vegas. He's got a huge operation there. So a lot of people that go to Las Vegas use the track there. So it's because, you know, he's got the people, the visitors. There's so many visitors going there. There's you know, has a constant flow of people, and, you know, they come even from China now just to, you know, to race, you know, to have the experience of driving around these racetracks.
Look at this daily chart we've got here.
Yeah,
The
it's very
International
bullish, right?
Speedway. This is daily.
Especially with that. Look at that island bottom. Yeah, I'd say this is a pretty good bet. By the way, we talked about Tesla last week, and it's up substantially from what we were, you know, discussing, as is the rest of the market.
Yeah, Tesla catching a real nice bounce off that 180 price.
Yeah, so, you know, it may even go higher because right now I think the market's put in a little bit of a short-term top here. So from in the last hour, the dollar is actually pretty much near the lows, which, you know, they knocked the gold down because of the tariff deal with Mexico and the silver to some extent. And we did say last week I thought it would pull back a bit, maybe to 1330. I'm not so sure it's going to go much lower from here. You know, I think you're going to be looking to buy any dips. Just the same as what I said on the grains last week. You know, we had a pullback on the grains, and I said to buy dips. And today, you know, today is the first day up of what could be another, you know, a new leg up in the grains. Also, the cocoa, which we talked about being very bullish and being long, is up another 60 points today. So it's in a whole new world. It's making probably new highs for the year, maybe even new 52-week highs or more. So it's very bullish. Coffee has broken down. I would probably put a buy stop on the coffee at about 99, maybe 99.5. Just so that if it turns up suddenly, you're going to be on board, because you know, it might be in for a bit of a pullback here, consolidation, but one of these days it's probably going to take another leg to the upside.
There's coffee on a daily right here.
Right.
Coffee futures.
So, yeah, it's a pretty strong chart. And if you take a look at the beans, if you wouldn't mind, Dwayne.
Now, I've got them right here on this chart. This is a daily.
Yeah. Well, what I wanted to say is, you see how the first liftoff, the coffee looked like a bigger version of the grains liftoff.
Mm-hmm.
So you see how you got that first consolidation, and then it just powered higher. You could make the same kind of argument here for the coffee, that it might do something similar.
This is kind of this is sort of interesting to see on a daily chart right here. You know, you got a gap below it, you got a gap above it. Now we've closed the most recent gap, and I'm assuming my chart's correct. I don't think I have. Let me double check it. Is that what your chart
Actually
looks like?
looks very. The beans look very dynamically bullish, and the agriculture guys were talking about
that's correct.
this whole situation, and look, if we have another leg up from here, it might be very powerful. You know, it could easily go up to 90, to go up towards 1,000, or what would be 10 10,000 on that chart, I think. So the
Well, that works out. It's basically we're talking $10 a bushel, correct? That's how it breaks
right,
down.
exactly,
$10 a bushel.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Now the thing is,
Or $9 a bushel.
all of this whole grain area, we talked about a new bull market in the making, and the stage may be set because of these floods. They're not over by a long shot. They're still there. They haven't been able to plant anything like the acreage that they normally do. So they're kind of starting off from a much lower level, and the damage from the floods and the erosion of soil and stuff will probably hamper the yield. So many things could come together here to form a new bull market. And remember, we're getting to the extreme levels of the stock market here over the next year or two. Probably going to hit a peak, and sometime next year, 1, 2, 3 years, maybe, could be sooner or later. But remember what happened in 2007. We peaked in the market, and then in 2008, you had this massive commodity boom when they started trying to rescue the economy from going into the, from almost a depression, and that created, and that's when we had all-time record highs in beans. So the next year, the rest of 19 going into 20 could actually be very, very bullish for commodities, especially if the dollar continues down from here. Right now it's trying to bottom just at about 96 3/4. If it breaks down anywhere below that, I think it's probably going to have another leg down. The yuan, the Chinese yuan, is also making new lows today. Not 10-year lows quite, but it's getting close to making new 10-year lows. And if you look at the Chinese miracle, if you like, and when it as measured in the currency, just like the stock market has.
What is the Chinese miracle?
Well, the miracle of the economy.
Okay. The incredible turnaround. The historic.
The so-called 7% growth, 9% growth. The interesting thing is, if you look at the currency, it's coming up off levels of 2009 from the last dip to kind of for a few years it went up, and then it kind of peaked around 13, 14, and it's really been down since then. It had a rebound, and then it's down since. It doesn't look very good for the yuan, in all honesty. It looks like it's going to break down possibly substantially, and they're going to probably be forced to do that one way or another to cope with these tariffs. They might get a bit of a lift if there's a deal.
John, what kind of chart do you look at the yuan on?
Actually, I use one of these internet things. I'll just send you the link.
Well, here's one I've got. Does this look anything like yours right now?
Yeah, you have to turn it upside down. It's the dollar versus the yuan.
Oh, okay.
US dollar versus the yuan. So
let's try that again. Yuan. So I want. Either one of these look.
There it is. CNY USD, Chinese yuan, US dollar. See that?
Got it.
Go down about 8.
Is it? Oh, no. Okay, let me try it again. Right here.
There, just one lower.
Okay, got it.
There you go.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, see what I mean? That's. Yeah.
Well, we can see the potential for some support coming up. If that doesn't hold, well, I mean,
it's
a little bigger chart.
It kind of, honestly, in all honesty, it looks like it's going to have a whole new leg down. When you look at the chart, it's very, very bearish.
Oh yeah, now look over here. Now we're going way back to 2007 over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like a very real possibility. It does.
And the implications of that are, at some point, the Chinese are, by the way, the Chinese, I just saw a report this morning, they're stepping up their buying. They bought more last month than they have in 3 years, I think. Gold, that is. And I'm pretty sure that breaking down to new lows, which is very, very close, will probably get a lot of press in China when that happens, and everywhere in the world probably. And so that invites many, increasing amount of the population of 1.5 billion to start looking at gold as a hedge against the Chinese yuan going down.
Yeah, this is the UN gold versus the Chinese yuan.
It's breaking out. Look at that. Breaking out.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. This may be above my pay grade right here, but maybe sometime later in the week, you're feeling better, you can explain it to us.
Well, already there's some currencies. I think the Aussie dollar recently hit an all-time high in gold. Gold hit an all-time high in the Aussie dollar. The Argentine peso must be right up there in Canada too. And I think earlier on this year was 65 currencies or so. Gold was making new highs of one sort or another. Obviously, the Turkish lira and the Venezuelan bolivar and all these currencies are off the charts in gold.
I'm looking for gold here versus the peso.
Check out the Aussie dollar in gold. Do you see that? Does it see that?
Yeah, let's take a look. Okay. Australian. I guess you guys spell it right. Okay, Australian dollar versus, or it'd be gold versus the dollar. Is that what we're looking for? Right here?
Yeah, probably.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, look at that.
This is a weekly.
Try putting a monthly up, see what it looks like.
Sure.
Look at
There
that.
we go. Wow. Pretty powerful.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, that's extraordinary, actually.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, because that kind of pattern tends to go parabolic, probably similar to Canadian.
We got rollover this week. Correct? I'm pretty sure second Thursday. Yeah.
Can you put up gold versus the Canadian?
Oh, sure. Okay. Gold versus the Canadian dollar. There it is. Yeah, that's about ready to break out, it looks like.
Yeah.
So the Australian dollar has broken out. The Australian has broken out. Canadian just on the cusp of breaking out. Now,
let's have a look at the pound and the euro.
Sure. All right, here's gold versus the British pound. Boy, those charts sure look similar. The the Australian dollar and the Canadian dollar, and now British pound. Let's look at the euro.
And the Swiss as well. The Swiss.
Let's see, gold versus the euro. There we go. Wow. And what was the other one you said? The Swiss?
Yeah, Swiss. Yeah.
Okay. Gold versus the Swiss franc.
Yeah. And the yen.
There we go.
Yeah, the yen is very bullish. So I thought that, the gold. That's an incredibly bullish chart, really. A breakout that could really go places. So look at that. Look at the consolidation at the higher levels. This is crazy.
It really is.
And look, almost every other currency out there, except for the dollar, is weaker than all the currencies we just looked at.
Okay, let's do the same thing here with
Try
the
the Argentine peso. That might be one to look at.
Okay. Let's see. I believe when I typed in peso down here, we'll find Argentine. There's Brazilian peso, the Philippine peso, Chilean peso, Argentine peso. I may have missed it, but I don't see one that says gold.
Yeah, they probably don't have it against these lesser known currencies. Doesn't look. Yeah. All right, let's look at it against the dollar. Just the gold of the dollar. See how it looks today.
Okay. Gold US dollar. There we go. And there it is. Really important area we're at right here, right now.
Yeah.
You can press this thing. If it can move up above 1500, then not a lot getting in the way of this previous high.
You can see the measured move there is.
Oh my goodness! Yeah,
$350 from here at least to take us up to 1600, 1650. Right. And I think if it gets up there, it's probably unstoppable. Because of just the Bitcoin effect. Will take it higher.
Yeah. Have you had an opportunity to sample any of this Beyond Meat?
No, I saw there was an article about it over the weekend.
Oh my goodness! They say it's. I haven't tried it either. Burger King has already implemented it into a new Whopper. I mean, they've got the regular Whopper, and then they've got this one. A couple of test markets here in the U.S. where it's getting rave reviews. People say, they can't taste the difference. One guy complained that it doesn't bleed realistically. They use beets to make it bleed, but it's supposedly very, very good. And everyone has become quite health conscious these days. It's increasing, especially with the millennials, I think. And Burger King, I think, is really onto something. And I was going to buy you can buy it in the grocery store too. You don't have to go to Burger King to get it there. You can you can buy. I think they had sausages and they had hamburger patties. And I was going to get some, and I got distracted. And by the time I got to the car, I realized that I had set it back down, and I had not actually purchased it. But next time I'm back, I will do that. I got a picture somewhere. Let's see if I Beyond Meat. Well, looks like I didn't use that hashtag. So, all right. It's just my daughter standing there holding the package up. I think I came home and put it in Telegram, showed it to everybody. All right. Last night we had a gap higher open on all the indices. Now, this chart, I haven't explained it yet, guys, but this was Friday's close right here, and that was 28.7750. The gap higher open last night on Globex was 28.93 and a quarter. So our gap fill alert was to consider being short 28.88 down to the target at 28.78 for a 10-point move, but the swing low was just 28.80.50. So the final, we hit the initial target. The final target was missed by, I guess, 2.5 points it would be, if I did the math right in my head. And I put this chart up last night because once this happened and then we got into this area, guys, there is an obstacle that may prevent us from reaching the final target on this gap fill alert. And here it is. Right there. See the wick on that candle? Hit the BBC. And so the market was trying to get down to completely fill the gap. Little pullback. It tried again. And that wick. Right. Now, normally this is exactly what we look for. We look for price to pull back to the BBC, for it to hold, and then we trade the leg that follows. But because of the nature of the alert we had out last night, we actually wanted it to break through this time and complete that. But to everyone out there who was able to take advantage of that and participate.
Can you squeeze that up a bit, Dwayne?
I sure can, John. Can we go to a different time frame or anything? Or?
No, just squeeze, just to get the most of the week, because look at that.
Here, let me just real quick because we got so much clutter on that screen. Let me do this. Okay, now back to 30 minutes. Okay, all right, now we can see.
I was wanting you to keep those indicators on.
Oh, yeah, I can do that. It just, I was afraid it was making it crowded. You couldn't see it. Let me get rid of some of this.
Yeah, look at you had the original liftoff, and
oh yeah, the bullish cross. What I think maybe what you're referring to is if we go way back.
It's pretty extraordinary. And
you got the indication to go long bullish cross, June 3rd, and we've not had a bearish cross yet.
We
tested it and tested it. I'm sorry.
Remember what we said about the beginning of last week about this thing running into September. It certainly was a big week, biggest week up in a long time on the Dow.
Now here we are on the daily. Okay, got that bearish cross, a leg, and a retracement, the leg, and on this pullback,
1 week, from Monday to Monday, I think we're up like 1,300 points right now on the Dow.
Well, that's good. It's good to see. Good to see. None of this selling may go away stuff.
Yeah, we might have a little bit of a pullback here, and then the next leg could be very bullish going into the end of June, and probably in the last half of June into the first half of July could be the strongest part of this move still to come.
Look at this thing, Beyond Meat.
Crazy, son of a gun! Look at that.
When did they go public?
This is like Tilray. Tilray?
Yeah, kinda. But I think this one has legs. I think it. I don't know if it's overvalued. I mean, I haven't looked at any of the numbers, the financials, or anything, but it certainly has the attention of America. And I'm just curious how long before, or have any of the other major fast food places, have they announced a competitive?
There's a few of them. There's 3 or 4 outlets that have them.
Now I wonder if Burger King got a lock. In other words, okay, we'll buy your Beyond Meat, but you can't sell it to McDonald's.
Different suppliers.
Because this is the one that's supposed to be the best. But eventually the other ones will manage to get the recipe down, I assume.
Yeah.
Shares of Beyond Meat popped more than 23%, on pace for its 3rd best day ever. Earlier, the stock hit $186.43 per share, an all-time high. The maker of plant-based meat substitutes has surged nearly 600% from its IPO price of $25 per share. The company soared a whopping 39% on Friday after it reported better than expected first quarter earnings.
Huh.
Oh, John, are you familiar with the term esports?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, it's such a big deal. Granted, most people haven't heard of it, but I have a teenage son, so it's about video games. Esports.com, what better place to just have a look. Now, there's live programming going on this site right now. Somewhere, people are playing video games in some convention center, and there's guys there reporting it, talking about it, just like we do with football and baseball and everything. Some of these kids are making $1 million plus a year. My son thinks he could turn pro playing this one, League of Legends.
Wow, good for him.
So there's a certain time every day I say, son, it's time to go to work. Because you can go to fast food or show me that you can turn pro on this game. And so, he's got that hanging over his head right now. He either has to get really good at this game or he's got to go flip burgers. I mean, it's the summer, right? This is his senior year coming up. So I hope he can do it. Now, the reason I brought that up is because eSports ETF news. This esports ETF offers a new way to cash in on the gaming craze. Investors can now get their game on with a new esports ETF. The Roundhill Bitcraft Esports and Digital, look at the symbol, nerd. I love that. Began publicly trading on the New York Stock Exchange, I guess last Tuesday. What's the date here? June 4th, yeah. The ETF tracks video game publishers, streaming network operators, and hardware companies that have established themselves as key players in the esports or electronic sports industry. When I first started talking to my wife about this, she goes, "Oh, come on, you're pulling my leg." And it took some, I had to show her something like this, she's like, "Oh my God, really?" Yeah. I mean, when I was a kid, a video game meant skipping school and playing Ms. Pac-Man. This is a research firm Newzoo projects that the esports industry will raise over $1 billion in revenue this year. Roundhill, a New York-based registered investment advisor, partnered with esports investor venture fund Bitcraft Esports to launch the ETF after seeing the excitement around the private markets. Esports investments in 2018 exceeded $4 billion in disclosed funding, according to the Esports Observer. We define esports as the business of competitive gaming in front of a viewing audience. It includes anything from watching a streamer all the way up to big events like the Intel Extreme Masters and everything in between. Are you familiar with Twitch? This is a website
Twitch,
where kids
I've
go
heard of
to.
it,
You can play video games, and then people log in. Let's see what we can. Okay. Now you can't hear it, but this guy, he's broadcasting live right now. This is day 2 of E3 2019. Tune in to see all the announcements from the PC Gaming Show, Ubisoft, Square Enix, and much more. Now, on this channel right now, John, some guy's playing Fortnite. 23,000 people are watching him play a video game.
Yeah.
Now, when I was skipping school in high school to play Ms. Pac-Man, I wasn't going to stand there and watch some other guy play. I might elbow him out of the way so I could play, but I had no interest in watching him play. It's a whole new world. They do it because they want to learn the tricks. They want to learn how to be a better player themselves, and they do it by watching. This special event channel has 171,000 people watching it right now, and there's a running chat over here. Look at that thing fly by. Imagine 175 people are watching this, watching day 2 of this special event. I mean, I knew gaming was big, but I turned my head for a minute, and when I looked back, I find this. So we don't want to miss the boat on what's to come. So that's why I wanted to bring it up. Now, what was the symbol of that ETF? Nerd. How do you forget nerd? Okay, N-E-R-D.
Probably worth buying that stock, just in case. Just the same as Beyond.
It's $15 right now.
Yeah, it's not gone up that much, to tell you the truth. There may not be a lot of risk in it, and there might be a lot of upside.
There could be a tremendous amount of upside to something like this. I'm assuming, let's just say e-sport stocks, top gaming stock of 2019. Okay, these 9 stocks will win from the esport craze. Let's see what we got. I got a list. 10-cent Holdings. Why do I know that name? TCEHY.
That's a Chinese outfit.
Don't they have some kind of messaging platform or something?
Yeah, big outfit. It's a big deal.
Okay, now they're trading at, what is it, $43? Okay, then the next one on their list, Activision Blizzard owns the Overwatch League, and their symbol is, no, that's not their symbol. Well, they have a partnership with NTES. That's a $263 esports stock. And then we've got Electronic Arts. I think that's just EA. There it is, Electronic Arts. $95 stock. What else we got here? Underscoring the financial muscle behind esports are the big brands that have signed on as sponsored. Toyota, Hewlett-Packard, Intel, T-Mobile, Nissan, Berkshire Hathaway, Geico, Unilever. Twitch is the most popular platform for watching esports and competitive gaming online. Wow, I wonder when Twitch is going to go public. It's a big deal. Average daily viewership for January was 962,000, which means it did better than two major cable TV outlets. For 2017, average, oh, this is an old article, apparently. What's the date line on this? Oh yeah, this is August of last year. Okay. And okay, so they have more daily viewers than MSNBC and CNN. I need to tell the folks over at Fox News about this little statistic. They have a good time with that. Celebrities are catching on to the size of the Twitch audience and making appearances. In March, Drake played Fortnite with a popular gamer, Tyler Ninja Blevins. Twitch is one of Amazon.com. Oh, that's right. Amazon bought Twitch. Says Motley Fool. He thinks Amazon's 2014 purchase of Twitch for $970 million, starting to look like a really clever one. Huh. As the biggest platform with about 70% of monthly active users in the online gaming space, according to Goldman Sachs, Twitch benefits from the network effect. This means it has the power to continually attract more users and become more useful to them as it does this. Oddly, Amazon doesn't mention Twitch in its most recent 10Q. Now, let me just look back here for 1 second. Twitch. We'll click on that Fortnite game and just see. There's 24,000 people. The broadcaster indicated that the channel is intended for mature audiences. It's a video game. So here it is. 20, and here's the guy playing. You see that, John?
Uh-huh.
This is a whole new world. 23,000 people watching this young man. He can't shave, or he doesn't have to shave. He can't buy a beer. He might be old enough to die for his country. He's got 23,000 people watching him play a video game. Huh. Well, anybody that's not fascinated by that, you need to check your pulse. I'm not saying it's a good thing that kids get so addicted to these games. And I'm going to be honest with you. My son, it's almost as if he lives inside of this game. He'll start talking to me about it, telling me what happened the last time, his last battle or whatever they call it. And his eyes just kind of glaze over. And sometimes I go, hey, son, you know it's just a game, right? I mean, I don't want to lose a grip on reality here. It's that seductive. It really is. So, folks,
captivating.
You got kids out there that are into this. I mean, it's a real thing. I mean, there's people earning a living at it. But it's kind of like professional golf or any other professional sport. Lots of people will get really good at it, but only a few will go on to turn it into a career and do it professionally. So, and with that understanding, I told my son, I says, you know what? It's a real thing. You really want to do it. I'm going to believe in you. I'm going to have faith in you. And we're going to see how it shakes out. But at some point, if you're not rising to the quality, to the level of a potential professional player, well, then, we're going to have to put it in a different spot in the pecking order, which means you can play after you get home from Chipotle or wherever you go to work. I really would like to get him a job somewhere, help him get a job somewhere other than fast food, although I worked in fast food prior to going into the Navy, and certainly nothing wrong with it. Mostly my wife just doesn't want him sitting around all day eating burgers and drinking soda pop. So that's why she took him to Chipotle. At least their food's sort of healthy. Anything else you want to cover, John?
No, listen, thanks very much for the invite, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow. Have a great afternoon.
All right, brother. Hope you feel better.
Okay, much obliged. Thanks.
Bye-bye. All right, back to the S&P 500 E-mini. Show you this one more time. You know where we're at on the day. Okay. This morning, at about 11:30, which would have been on this green candle right here, I sent out an alert. Let me find it. Yeah. On a pullback to 28.94, consider being long the S&P 500 at 28.97 with a target of 2900 and a final target of 2910. Stop loss 28.94. Now we want to see it pull back to 28.94, which is right there. Yeah. So we're looking for a pullback there. Okay. It may well come down, touch the BBC, spike the BBC, even better. And then as it makes its move back up, leg, retrace leg, as it makes the move back up, we want to capture this little window of opportunity, which would be 28.97 to 29.10. So a potential 13-point move on tap. Just hasn't pulled all the way back yet. Now, is it possible it could turn here and take off? Yeah, it's possible. Could you chase it? Absolutely. Should you chase it? Well, we don't recommend that. Okay. We never, under any circumstances, believe in chasing a move that's already underway or attempting to catch a falling knife. Okay. Just as this thing was ripping up the chart here, well, we're just not comfortable. We don't believe it's high probability. We think it's more like gambling to see this thing running and just jump on and hope for the best. How many times have you done that and you nailed the top of the market or you nailed the bottom of the market? Just as soon as you get filled, that thing, well, you know, right? Okay. So that's why we don't do it. We've tried it many times over years past. And once the scales fall from your eyes, once you can see clearly when there are things that don't contribute to the bottom line but actually take away from the bottom line, well, my goodness, it's kind of like the guy who told the doctor, "Hey doc, I broke my arm in 3 places." And the doc said, "You better stay out of them places." Thanks, doc. All right. Now, you see how this was an obstacle? Remember, when price pulls back to the BBC, whether it's pulling down or pulling up, we always expect it to be good support in this case, or if it's coming the other way, good resistance till proven otherwise. Yes, we would have liked for it to drop a little bit more. I mean, this was still, you know, beautiful alert. 28.88. Where did it go? 7.5 points. It didn't quite, you know. But I'm glad I was able to look at the chart last night and post in the Telegram channel this chart with these arrows pointing out why the market was having difficulty completely filling the gap. And I said, I'm not saying it won't. I'm just saying it hasn't. And here's the issue. And, well, there it is. Okay. All right. On the Dow. Now, these numbers, these are from Friday. Let me just get those out of the way. Okay. Here was the open last night for the Dow. Okay. And okay, here's the gap fill. Here's the swing low, same dynamic, right? And now we're right back at it. On the Russell, that's from Friday, okay, gap higher open, try to fill, it got, this one came within 3 ticks. The swing low was 15.15.30, and the target on the gap fill was 15.15, so 3 ticks from going all the way. It's still, all of them qualified for a PT. In Q, gap higher open, last night, a pullback. Now, after you just look at this chart, like, wow, it was so close, right? 74.29 and a quarter was Friday's close. So that would be the complete gap fill. 74. I think I built a little bit of a cushion in there last night. But let's see what the obstacle was. There it is. Again. Okay. And so, let me grab this, then I'll grab this. And last week, which was week 44, is that right? Yeah, week 44 of Logic 247. This is what it looked like at the end of the week. We had a total of, week 44, 39 alerts issued. 6 of them never triggered. That leaves 33 that were actionable alerts. 25 of them hit the final target. 5 of them hit at least the first target, or if there was only one target, then it had to make it at least 60% of the way there or better. 3 were stomped out. That means 9% of actionable alerts last week were stopped out. And that's the truth about trading. We are now into week 45, started last night. So the S&P, PT, almost got to the final target. Not quite. Same for the Dow, for the Russell, and for the NQ. Gold, last time I checked, never triggered. And copper, let's see if it ever triggered or not. Last time I checked, it had not. See, there's gold, no trigger. And we'll make this copper. Okay. All right, 30-minute chart of copper. And the alert said, consider being long, 264.60 to 265.60. A 1 penny move in copper equates to $250 per contract traded. Okay? Whether you're on the profitable side of the trade or the unprofitable, copper pays $250 per contract per penny of movement. So, like $2.64 up to $2.65, $250 per contract. 264 down to 263, $250 per contract. So the numbers again were 26,460 to 26,560. I had a bad digit in here, but I explained it in the discussion group last night. So we're currently at 26645, and we needed to get to we need to get to 26650. I messed that up pretty good, didn't I? Just trying to go from 2.6460 to 2.6560. We got there. In fact, we actually ran 2 pennies, Has there been an exit signal printed as an exit signal printed yet? Let's find out. That would be no. 26460 right there to 26560 to 26660. So anyone who participated in this alert, so far the market has provided $500 per contract traded, and we do not have an exit signal yet. Now, we had a 1 penny target, but something that we teach is to recognize when, whatever you're trading, whatever market, if it's in an extended move, you could still get out at the published target, or on an extended move, you can wait for the chart to tell you to exit. Now, what that will look like here, you see this little squiggly black line, we call that the step line, because it looks like you're going up steps, right? Okay. When it crosses the CFMA1, which is the blue line, on an up move, what we're looking for is the step line to cross, and then we want to see a red candle print that closes below the step line. That's our indicator set and the chart and price action telling you that this move may be over, at least for now. Okay? You see how price is moving up here, moving down here. On these extended moves, when the move runs out of gas, quite often what you'll see is exactly this. Price starts to walk sideways. Then you get the cross, step line crosses, and then you get a red candle closing below the step line. Now obviously if it was a short, see this move down here? See how the step line crossed? And you get that close above it. Okay. Now let's go back to the S&P. Concierge Trade Alerts from last night. Here we go. Last night's, if you want to grab a screenshot, go ahead. There they are from last night. Got them? Okay. Consider being long. 2902. 2905 and 3/4. So on Logic 247, we had the alert to compensate for the gap fill, and then on the Concierge to take advantage of the inevitable up move. On the Dow, I consider being long at or above 26205, swing high 26221. Okay, also known as a stop out. Okay, on the Russell, considering long at or above 1529, which would be about here. 1529. Swing high 3740. So we'll call it 7.5 points. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. So we have a trigger, we have a swing high, price gets back below the trigger, and potentially we'll go back to challenge these highs and possibly put in a higher high. Okay. Now, when I do recaps, or when Valerie does the recaps, she mostly does them now, we don't get into the second and third and fourth trigger. Back during the days of beta and the early days of Logic 247, I attempted to track them all, and it's just too overwhelming and too complicated because there's too many of them, right? Now, here's the takeaway. You've got this trigger and this swing high. And this trigger, just off the top of your head, which one do you think might have a higher probability and less risk? This one or this one? Hands down, based upon our narrative and the way we see the market, for us it's this one. If you would like to understand that so that you might incorporate it into your own trading, why don't you book a free mentoring session with me or with Michael, and we'll be happy to explain that to you. Okay? Now, I probably say important prices, important areas are almost always tested more often than I say anything else on this radio program, in the Telegram channel, in workshops, in one-on-one mentoring. And you know, if you only take one thing away from this radio program, I don't mean just today, I mean the empirical, this radio program, take that. Important prices, important areas are almost always tested. Now, we often see this kind of a dynamic. Let's say this goes up to challenge this high. Maybe it puts in a higher high, maybe it doesn't. But we have a whole lot of risk the second time around. Now, could it come back and actually do it a third time? Well, that would be asking a little much, right? Happens all the time. We see it come back and do it a second time, sometimes a third time, sometimes a fourth time. There's no limit to how many times it can do it. In fact, it could run up for days and then still come back and do this exact same thing. Maybe that helps understand why we only track in the recap the first trigger. Now, let's say that the first trigger is a stomp out, but the second time is a home run. What do we put in the recap? Just a stop out. We only recap whatever the first trigger is. But those of you who are familiar with the Concierge Trade Alerts and with Logic 247, and we establish our stop loss the same way for both of those, you know the answer. All right? Okay. Let's go out on a high note here. Good word for the day. Last week, we spent most of the week talking about prayer. Today, we're going to talk about how to pray for your children. Last week, we were talking about different ways you can pray. Yes, you can kneel, or you can walk, jog, swim, kick it in your lazy boy, while surfing, boating, golfing, and hunting, right? You with me? Good. Now, praying for your children. You might say, oh, my children are grown. Got a home of their own. Got children of their own. They need your prayers more today than they did when they were 9 and sleeping under your roof. Okay? Psalm 127:3. When someone loves you enough to leave you an inheritance, you should treasure it and treat it in a way that honors them. The Bible says that our children are a heritage from the Lord. So here's a prayer for them. Lord, I cannot begin to tell you how blessed and grateful I am from my children. I recognize each of them as a beautiful gift from you. You have given them to me to love and care for, to enjoy and celebrate, to delight in and raise, so that they may come to know you as the greatest heritage of all. Thank you that no one, not even me, can ever be as good to them as you are. Because you, God, have given me the privilege and responsibility of bringing them to you, teach me the importance of lifting them up before you every day in prayer. God, keep them in the center of your love and the designed purpose for their life. Bless them with the knowledge of who you are. God, help them to put their trust in you and stay on the path of life. Enable them, God, to recognize the gifts and the calling that you have put in them. Teach them, O Lord, to follow your leadership as you develop them and use them for your glory. God, I pray that you would make your face to shine upon them, your grace to be with them, and your love abound in them. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Now that's a great prayer for your children, whether they're 9 or 59. Let me ask you a question. Are your children serving God? You might say, are you kidding? My son's in the choir. My daughter plays the drums in the praise and worship team. My son and daughter are on a mission. They're on the YWAM ship, sailing the world, bringing the good news to people. Okay, but you didn't answer my question. I don't matter who you are, where you are, and how high up you are in the church. I want to encourage you to do this. Next time you have a moment to sit down with your children, do this one at a time. Okay? This is a private thing. Ask them a very important question. Now, you raised them right, okay? Don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat, all that. Took them to church every Sunday, sometimes Sunday night, sometimes Wednesday night, sometimes a Thursday choir practice, and even Friday visitation. Yeah? Okay. So then you shouldn't be afraid to ask this question. In a calm voice, just ask, son, daughter, do you believe in God? Oh, Dad, how could you ask me a crazy question like that? Don't I go to church every Sunday? And sometimes Sunday night and Wednesdays? Well, you didn't answer the question, son. Do you believe in God? Be careful how you say it. Sometimes it's not so much what we say as how we say it. Now, in this case, both are important, I think. Because, of course, a child who wants to please their parent are going to give you the answer they think you want. See? You need to try to get the question across. Because if they can understand the sincerity, if they can feel the presence of the Holy Spirit in the room as you sit there and just talk with them, you might see a puzzled look on their face, and your child, the one you raised, might say, God, Dad, I talk to God a lot, and, hey, Dad, sometimes I struggle. Here's your shot to be the parent God created you to be. Let them know that's okay. Thank them for their honesty. Let them know that maybe you've struggled with some of the same things. Some of the greatest leaders of our time, from preachers to presidents, may have struggled with that very issue. But having the courage to speak it forth, that's the hand of God on their life right there. I mean, if you don't ask that question, you might go to your grave just believing it's all good. Oh, they up in the church every Sunday, head of the youth ministry now, right? But yet, there's this haunting question in their heart. Maybe they just need dad or mom to talk to them about it. Really, Dad? I mean, Dad, when the preacher's sick, you preach. What do you mean you've struggled with it too? There might be some disbelief. How can a man of your stature and station in the church struggle with the concept of believing in God? It's called the human condition, son. You see how important it is to have that conversation? Again, I don't care if they're 9 or 59. If you love them, talk to them. Don't interrogate them. Don't judge them. Just talk to them. Will you do that? You put a big old smile on God's face if you do. Maybe they just need a word of encouragement. Maybe some of the things that you walked through as you struggled with those issues, maybe they can learn from that. Maybe it can be a help to them. Please don't be afraid to ask the question because you already know the answer, right? Jeremiah 31:17. There is hope in your future, says the Lord, that your children shall come back to their own border. And that simply means the principles they were taught. There was a verse in the Bible that really kind of bothered me for a long time. I was raised in a Christian home. My mom, my grandmother, and my grandmother, she probably shouldered most of the responsibility for my religious upbringing, mostly because I spent most weekends at her house. And if you were in Granny Reeves' house on Sunday morning, you're going to church, right? So I knew that I was brought up right. There's a scripture in the Bible, I'm sure you've read it. It says, raise up a child in the way that they should go. And when they're old, they won't depart from it. Okay. I left home at 17, joined the Navy, graduated high school at 16, talked my mom into signing me into the military at 17, joined the Navy, took off, didn't look back for a long time. And I ran probably about as far in the opposite direction of my religious upbringing as a person could. I was out there, right? A couple decades. And when I would come across that, because even in the depths of my depravity, I still talked to God. My grandmother instilled that in me. It's not something I could turn on or turn off. Whether I was up to good or no good, I would talk to God most days. But that scripture, raise up a child in the way that they should go, and when they're old, they won't depart from it. At 37, when I had my Damascus Road experience, my wife and I turned our lives back towards the God of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Granny Reeves. I knew that day what the scripture meant. See, I thought I was just irreversibly broken because I had the right upbringing and I strayed so far. Scripture doesn't say that there would be no straying. It just says that after the straying, at a point, they'll know where to come to. They'll know where home is. And so when my wife and I, at 37, decided that we wanted to serve God the way we were taught, we already knew how to talk, how to walk, how to act. We knew what we believed. We understood how to get a hold of God, right? Nobody had to teach us that. Those seeds were planted long, long time ago. And we're just waiting for the right season to blossom and bloom. Whether your child is 9 or 59, just keep sowing that seed with love. Now, during those couple of decades of debauchery, I talked to my grandmother on a semi-regular basis by telephone because I was roaming the world. And she knew I was up to some scandalous activities. Or at least she knew I wasn't living the life she raised me to live. But there was never any judgment in her voice. I had another grandmother, I'll just be honest, and when I spoke to her, there was always a little judgment there, in person or by phone. For some reason, I didn't call her as much as I called the other one. I hope that makes sense. Loved them both. Just saying. Every phone conversation during those couple of decades would end with, "Son, yes, Granny, are you and your wife going to church?" And for a long time, the answer was, "Well, Granny, we're kind of busy." "Well, son, don't ever be too busy for God. He loves you, and Granny Reeves loves you. Bye-bye." That's how she ended every phone call. With love. No condemnation. No judgment. Just the love of God flowing through her into my life. She walks as close with God as anyone I've known. She's not a learned woman. She has a second-grade education. The only book I've ever seen her read is the Bible. A number of years ago, 2004, I was at the office downtown. She called me. It was a little unusual for her to call me. Normally, she would wait for me to call her. And she said, "Son," I was like, "Well, hi, Granny, this is a surprise. How you doing?" She said, "Son, go lock the door." I was like, "I'm sorry. Granny, there's a difference here. The time, I'm on the West Coast, you're on the East Coast. I'm at work right now. It's Friday afternoon. I'm getting ready to pay all the employees. I can't lock the door." She says, "Oh my God." She said, "Well, son, as soon as you pay those employees and they go home, please lock the door." And I'm thinking, well, we get up in age. Sometimes we don't think so clearly. She says, "Son, will you promise me?" I said, "Granny, I don't know what's wrong or what you're thinking, but yes, if that gives you peace, I promise as soon as the last employee goes out the door, I'll lock it." And I did. And as I knew nothing was going to happen, and nothing did happen, right? Came time for me to go home as well. Set the alarm, locked the door, went home, picked up my wife Friday night. For a long time, that was our night, and we would go for dinner at a certain place. And as we were pulling up to the certain place, my wife says, "Hey, would you be okay with me running into Michael's for a few minutes? I need to grab a couple things, and then we'll eat." It's all in the same shopping mall. And I said, "Sure. That'll give me a second to run over here to the Sprint store." 2004, think back, cell phones we didn't have an iPhone yet. Can you imagine a world without an iPhone? Well, anyway, there was one. I said, "Okay, I'll be back in 15 minutes. You be out front now, because I'm hungry. Be out front and I'll pick you up." She said, "Okay." So I go to the Sprint store. It's Friday night. Remember back in the day when you actually got a paycheck on Friday? Yeah, you always put a little pep in your step, right? Even if the money was all earmarked for bills, there's just something about getting paid that puts a smile on your face. So I'm in the Sprint store. It's just me and 2 employees behind the counter. It's very small, probably about the size of your bedroom. No, maybe 2 bedrooms. I'm looking at these cell phones and don't know a lot about cell phones. I had one, but it was no iPhone. And it wasn't the old brick kind. I mean, it's 2004. It looked like a cell phone. I hear the door open behind me and shut. A little bell goes ding ding or whatever. I turned around. There's a gun pointed right in my face, right between my eyes. Get behind the counter with those others, or whatever he said. So I did. He lined us up, the 2 employees and me, behind the counter. Never took the gun off of us. Got the money. Asked the guy, is that all the money? The manager of the store. And the guy says, yeah. He turns to walk out the door, and he stops. He turns around. He walks back up to the counter. He levels the gun right at me. And then his hand falls to his side. He turns around and he walks out the door. That's a true story. Now, I said all that to say this. My grandmother has spent a lifetime. She's 95 now, I think. She's spent a lifetime walking so close with her Creator, your Creator. She sensed something was wrong. She's not psychic. She doesn't tell fortunes or read tea leaves. But she knew there was danger. The power that one of her favorite sayings was, son, there's no distance in prayer. In other words, you can pray for somebody just as easily as they're in the same room or the other side of the world. And wow, what an experience. I mean, just having a gun pulled on you, and potentially almost being shot, that's a really huge thing. But I'm standing there, staring down the barrel of this gun, and my thoughts are, oh my God, this is what she was talking about. I called her the next morning. I said, hey, Granny, how you doing? She said, oh, son, I didn't expect to hear from you again so soon. I said, well, that call last night, I go, that's kind of unusual. She goes, well, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't worry you or upset you. I go, well, what were you thinking? What was going on? She goes, son, I was praying, and all of a sudden the Holy Spirit impressed upon me that you were in danger. She said, did something happen? Did you get hurt? I go, well, I'm okay. And I said, tell me more. She said, after I hung up the phone last night, she said, I paced the floor. She had this little apartment. She says, I paced the floor here in the living room, and I just prayed in the Spirit for you. And she said, about 10 o'clock, 3-hour time difference. She said, about 10 o'clock, I felt this incredible sense of peace. And I just went in my bedroom and laid down and went to sleep, slept like a baby. Son, are you sure you're okay? I said, I am, and I thank you for your prayers. She said, what happened? That's a true story. I didn't wake up intending to tell you that story today, but I think somebody needed to hear it, so there it is. Another page ripped from the life of Mr. D. All right. That's our good word for the day, by the way. If you've never taken our trial, I want you to go to eminitrainingschool.com. eminitrainingschool.com. Spend 5 days in our live Emini training room. See what we do, see how we do it, and see if it just might be for you. If it's not, we'll still be friends. You're still welcome to come to the radio show every day. Now, when you sign up for the trial, there's no credit card needed, none of that. If you want to spend time with me on the Telegram channel, be sure and tell Valerie, and she'll make that happen for you. Okay? All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.